think you can do better than that, all right? So, Manu Bennett.
Thank you.
So, as you can imagine, everyone here is here because you made a very popular show called Sinbad very recently. No, I'm obviously joking. So, how many of you are here mostly because of Arrow? And how many of you are here because of Spartacus? Kind of a 50-50 thing, okay. So, besides that, obviously, Manu made Shannara Chronicles. He made a little production called Hobbit. So, Manu, how is your stay in Portugal so far?
I went to the castle of Pamela Anderson. Pamela? Castle? Pamela. Yeah, it's you know, I mean, I had this wonderful opportunity in my life to do Comic Cons. It enables me to travel to many countries and many cities around the world. I mean, I've seen so many incredible sights and had these opportunities through Comic Cons. So, you know, I usually have about a 4-day window in which to just get a very quick postcard impression of a place, meet people, go to restaurants, you know, just try to soak in a bit of the history. It's always wonderful, and this is my first time to Portugal, so yeah. I shouldn't call it Pamela Anderson Cup. But I was trying to remember Pamela, you know, Pamela. Yeah, but what an incredible place that is. Really.
Yeah.
It just goes to show how hard fought it was to sustain Portugal as a country, you know, and reading just the history of that one castle, it was just quite mesmerizing, imagining the foreign forces that came here and you contended with. It was an incredible feeling of standing up in the top turret of the castle, just thinking about the types of warriors that took their final battle at the top platform, and yeah, it was quite mesmerizing. And the sunset was absolutely beautiful. The light was just diffusing through the clouds, and it was a really special moment to be my first day in Portugal. Yeah. I was coming from the airport actually. The driver was like, "You want to go to your hotel?" And Lana from Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, Lana Paria.
Yeah, we did a convention in Germany last week, and I texted her. I said, "Where are you?" And she goes, "Oh, we're heading to, you know, this Pamela Castle." And so I said to the driver, "Let's not go to the hotel. Let's just go straight and check out the castle." So yeah.
It's always a good thing when we can just go check the castle. Just the castle.
But the view from up there, you know, it was such an incredible view. You know, you could see kind of like, you know, vineyards and these wonderful sort of towns and the villages, and you know, there was a whole landscape. It was almost like a postcard historical sort of image of Portugal. There was thousands of years of history. Walls could, you know, when they say walls could talk. I mean, that place was just, yeah, incredible.
Okay, so probably you guys already noticed this, but we have 3 microphones on the sides of the stage. So if you have any questions to Manu, so you can go to any of those, and we will have time for your questions. Okay? So I'm very curious regarding the Spartacus process, because basically, although violence and nudity and gore was not a new thing when Spartacus came, it was something that created an impact back then. So, was ever a fear on your side to take a role that risky for you, or not really?
You know, I mean, it depends how you embrace what you do. You know, I mean, of course, everybody has a different moral level of what they're willing to, you know, what line they're willing to step over when it comes to what roles you play. you know, but I didn't find the nudity offensive at all. You know, I remember the original critiques from some of the trade magazines or reviews and stuff like that were that we were just blood splatter and gore and sort of semi-soft porn kind of like sex scenes, and you know, the show grew into much more than that. You know, I whenever I received the script as an actor, I read it like I was just on the most incredible journey. You know, I could see the opportunities in the role to play a man who was complex, you know, locked in a world of
especially
of fear and pain, and but blocking it with a wall of strength and you know, violence. You know, violence like a violent man. And you know, when I first embraced that character, I played it with all of that arrogance and violence that I had known in people that I didn't like. You know, aggressive people, abusive people. And my producer came up to me and he said, you know, the way that you're playing Crixus is not the way that it's written. You know, you're meant to be a champion and people are meant to like you. And we have a romance coming up with a girl, Navia, and we're getting letters to kill you off. You know, people, the fans of the show want you killed off. And we don't, you know, we don't want that. You know, we want them to think positively of Crixus. And I just said, listen, you know, like I really want to take the audience on a journey where I move them so much from here to here. And this story will enable that, but we have to take a long journey, you know, so please just let me play it slowly. And he enabled me to actually play that character right up to the point where I tap the shield and Spartacus comes and jumps off the ship. You know, there was real tension, even beyond that point there was still tension. But yeah, I didn't want to have this veneer of I don't know, just a champion gladiator with a kind of a Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
I wanted him to be broken in some ways. I wanted him to be making mistakes. You know, really making mistakes and wrong choices. And you know, it takes that tenderness and that memory somehow of the life that he led before he became a slave and a convict. And that came through Navia. Navia showed him kind of intimacy. You know, I mean, he had the whole relationship with Domino, Lucy Lawless's character, you know, and that was like a snake and a cobra, sort of and a mongoose sort of fighting each other, you know, in a certain way. But anyway, I don't want to go on too much about Spartacus because you know all Spartacus fans, but yeah, it was such an incredible journey. Crixus was like, you know, I
you
as
were
an
the
actor,
hero, you were the slave, you were a fighter, you were everything. So during that travel, you were on the top, you were on the bottom, you explored all range that you could explore with that character.
Yeah, there wasn't much paint that was left that I could do a different color. You know, it was really wonderful actor's journey. Yeah.
Well, after Spartacus, you went to play Azog, which is in a way also physical, but very different because instead of you completely out there, it's you behind layers of...
Yeah, very different. I spoke to Andy Serkis, who played Gollum, you know, and he was telling me that it's another dimension that you have to add to your acting, and I didn't know what he meant at the time. I was having a conversation with him. I met him in San Diego at a big Comic Con there. It's probably one of the biggest, and I was commenting how in King Kong, there's a moment where King Kong puts, what's that Australian actress who was playing the blonde-haired Naomi Watts? He puts Naomi Watts in the cave, she's unconscious, and he goes and sits on the edge of a cliff, big King Kong, you know, and he rips this tree out like it's a piece of celery, and he just starts chewing on it. He's watching the sunset. And there's a moment where the camera just goes in really close into King Kong's face. And like, you know, the old King Kong movies, it was just like, you know, there was no, but in this shot it just went right in, and I said to Andy Serkis, I said, you know, in that moment, I felt King Kong, his loneliness, you know, I felt his appreciation of beauty, you know, there was all this sort of primal stuff that belongs to human. And I just sort of, you know, I said to him in that moment, you know, like how much of that are you able to capture with the performance because it's motion capture? And he said all of it. He said the really most important thing about motion capture is becoming your character so much you can see it through the eyes. And it was a really interesting note that he gave me because when I played Azog, you know, for all of the size and with Azog, I was only given about 4 days notice that they selected me to play it. And I was in the middle of Spartacus, so I was super busy doing the last couple of episodes of Spartacus. In fact, my producers would never have let me do Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. They would never have let me go because I was so busy filming really important scenes, and they wouldn't let me go just in case I got injured or something, you know. So I didn't tell them that Peter Jackson had not been the role of The Hobbit, and I flew down there after we wrapped on the Friday, and I flew down and I shot on the Saturday and Sunday with Peter Jackson. And when I arrived the next week, on Monday, back on set, a journalist had already written in an article on the national newspaper that I'd been down filming The Hobbit, and my producer came and slammed this, my Spartacus producer slammed this paper down in front of me and said, "You want to explain yourself?" And I said, "Darling, there's no way in the world you would have let me go." And as if I'm not going to do The Hobbit, you know?
Yeah.
But it was a testy moment, but they knew I was doing very well for Spartacus, and so.
Well, if you're going to lie about something, it's going to be about doing Hobbit. You know, it's.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just something I didn't talk about. It wasn't so much a lie as much as I just thought, well, what they don't know, it's not going to hurt them.
Yeah, of course.
But given that I had such a short amount of time to prepare for it, I knew they showed me an image of what Azog was going to kind of look like. It wasn't as good as the final product, but he looked like a white shark to me. You know, he just was an apex predator, really sort of thick white skin, just looked like a shark. So I watched Jaws, and that gave me a sense of how I was going to move as the character, and the sort of sensitivity I would have as an apex predator, which is none. You know, you just, you know, a white shark doesn't sort of, unless you're watching the Walt Disney cartoon versions. You know, a shark has just got a black eye and it's just kind of like, it's just lurking, you know. So I played Azog like that, and then for the voice, I just went for Darth Vader. I just thought James Earl Jones, you know, I was just trying to think of iconic things to work off and what would work and would be in people's mindsets somehow. And you know, the whole thing was like, you know, "I am your father, Luke." You know, that placement of the voice. So I just went to, you know, this kind of like, you know, black speech language. Thanks, James Earl Jones. And your deep Darth Vader voice, yeah. But the white shark thing was really interesting, you know, like when I was moving as Azog, you know. Because you know, when you're in a green suit, you don't really feel big. Has any of you guys ever put on a pair of leotards? It's not flat. You know, it doesn't feel like you're going into battle as a 10-foot orc. You know, it feels like you're about to do ballet or something. Which I've done before. But yeah, to get out of that zone and then to sort of create the size of the figure, you know, like you basically, when you do motion capture, you go in and you put in a suit that has dots at every moving joint. It has a dot at every single junction where the body starts to move in different directions, you know, so that part of the finger, that part of the finger, and then a makeup artist puts dots on your face, so you go like this, the dots move, and when they paint the Azog face over the top, it's all still moving like my face, and then your eyes are really something. Peter Jackson said to me at the end, he said, you know, when we went in close on Azog, it was the eye energy. But again, I was sort of just, I was playing Jaws. But yeah, moving, when I went in, once I had the suit on, there was a screen that would show a kind of a bad video game version of Azov. And if I walked like me, this big figure would kind of go like this. And so I'd have to go in and kind of move with it in order to get the size, you know, and like it was kind of like you had to fill the mass of the creature. Like I always say, like if you're a skinny person, you could be Arnold Schwarzenegger in Mr. Universe, but you just have to elevate your muscle shape into the form of what he is. And it's like a projection, you know, it's like projecting your voice. You're projecting physically into something of a larger mass. You know, and if you watch Benedict Cumberbatch playing small, you know, he's crawling around the ground like a lizard, you know, and then you watch Andy Serkis playing Gollum, you know, he's like, you know, precious, you know, it's just these creatures you have to become are really interesting, you know, you got to find their shape and their being, you know, they're not human. So you know, doing a motion capture animation for 20 years, 30 years, under 20 years, something like that. So it was interesting to meet these guys who were the pioneers of that technology, and now they're working at the highest level, you know, and, yeah.
Probably the next time you do a movie, everything is going to be a little bit different already, so it's always evolving and always changing.
Yeah, I mean, a project like that, the budget is, you know, I mean, you do a show like Spartacus, it's, at tops, it's like $5 million an episode, down to about $1.5 or $2 million an episode. But the Hobbit is like a, you know, 700, you know, I think the production cost was $250 million per film or something like that. So, and you
start commenting after 100.
And when you're there and you're with the equipment, when you're with the highest standard of practitioners, you know, you really feel that, you you feel the money, you know, it's there and the quality is there, and you know you're really working at a high level. It's quite great work, yeah. So it's like Formula One, like if you're in a Formula One race team, in comparison to sort of being on a go-kart track.
So still driving, but nothing alike.
You are, but yeah, the money changes everything, you know. Like suddenly you're in something that's so elite and top level, you feel it, you know, you feel it with everybody who's around you. It's amazing, it's pretty mind-blowing.
We already have, I believe, a question from